Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing? Let me just fix this really quickly. The screen's gonna go black for a quick second. Uh, why isn't this working? Okay, there we are. So, it's been a while since I've done one of these, but you know, I thought let's just really quickly, um, go back to where we were doing. I was gone for 2 weeks off of the charts, because I had a maths exam that I had to prepare for. And since that's now out of the way, we can get back to doing more live streams and I can start looking at price action. And you never really know the worth of something until you're disabled to the point where you cannot do it anymore. So I'm not going to be doing so much of the weekly outlook just because I don't want people to kind of rely on that thinking. And if it is incorrect, then they find me less credible, which I do not entirely care about, but it's more of a personal thing where it's my thought. If you're gonna come up with a clear outlook, I think it's best if you do it on your own and to not rely on whatever I say that I think gonna happen because I might be wrong and it will be costing you guys money. But yeah, let's get into the point. Let's just do a quick overlook on the hour. So we displaced through this intermediate term low. We're slowly but surely digging through this big liquidity void. This tells me that price it has bigger objectives than to just retrace into this as a bullish move. So what I'm thinking is this could be a considerable buy side liquidity. I'm not saying that we're gonna for sure reach it, but I'm saying that we can consider it if price shows us that that's what you want to do. Really quickly, I wanna look at what the Dow is doing. So we just put them in comparison quickly. You can see that they're not correlating at all. The Dow is just dumping, and the Nasdaq is kind of retreating back and forward. So there is also pre-FOMC and pre-CPI. So if you are trading today, you best reconsider and reflect on your decisions to trade today. Why do you want to trade today so long? That was a big thing that I used to wrestle with, and I still am wrestling with for a while now. Is why do I feel the need to trade when I know that it's probably not the best idea to do so? So let's move into the 5-minute chart quickly. So you can see as 9:30 opens, we have this big drop lower into the opening range gap, falling short of the construct encroachment, but falling into this 15-minute gap here, highlighted as red. And you can see that once price moved into it, it's moving higher off of it. So the first presentation gap is this gap right here. Let's highlight it really quickly. First presentation gap. Let's make that green. Let's check it out a little bit. So price is now digging into the first presentation gap. I want to see if price wants to return this to this low here. What's it going to do a little bit? Or it's going to try to dig deeper into this new opening gap, which we were accumulating inside of for a while. You know, it's I don't want to say it makes sense, but in hindsight it does. That we did have this kind of big move higher off touching the new day opening gap here and touching the or you can say taking these lows here because of all of this lowest liquidity, especially with tonight's overnight move, being considerably big compared to what it's been doing for the past day or so. So you can see here as we almost close through the first presentation gap, we dig once more into the 15-minute gap. I want to kind of hover between the 5 and the 15-minute because I don't look at the 1 minute too much. because that's what your ideas. I don't want to get ideas. So yeah, so we fall short of this low here. I want to see actually if we SMT that low. So if I go on ESZ, 15-minute, there's that low of 630, low of 630, no, it was just now breached. So I want to draw on 830 open. I usually don't. In this case, I usually just have it as a, like I refer to it mentally. It's out of my head. But in this case, I think it's better if we visualize it and we look at it as a drawing, because you can see how price so shallowly dips right under 830 open here into the 15-minute gap, and then we start to trade higher from there. So see, as price makes another attempt to get to the open, it fails, and we can try to break down to where does it really stop. It stops at this inversion, but I'm not really, I can't see if it stops at it or inside of it or stop it. Okay, so just doesn't even tick into it. Just kind of hovers around the high of it. And as we inverse it, the first position gap, we have a return from there and we go back and we reclaim it. But you see here within this kind of area here, it seems like it did find somewhere just up the opening range gap. I'm not entirely sure what was the point of, or what was the, not the point, what was the purpose of going back lower and inversing this gap. Why didn't we just trade higher from there? And we can start to kind of piece that together here, where we fall into an inversion volume imbalance, some more discounted array than the first presentation gap. You can see if we measure it. It's in the last quarter of this entire range here, so that's a heavy discount, and you can expect price to fall into arrays like that, and then get off of those ones instead of the ones that just fall on discount. So I want to draw out this wick here. See where we're stopping. You can see before we had resistance towards the half level, and now we cut through it, reach into the kind of higher end of the premium of the discount, and then discount of the premium. And if we measure this wick here, you can see where it stops out. The bodies reject to move higher than the 0.75 range of the wick. And from there, we drop lower, back into the plain gap, touch the low of it through the tick, and now we're seeing prices move higher. I want to see what it does to this liquidity void here, if it wants to close through it and then refer to it as a support or not. But so far, I'm not getting a story. I'm not getting what prices want to do, and that's okay. That's completely fine. We don't expect to have a story every single time on the charts, because you're just plainly not going to have a story every time on the charts. You're better off just watching and observing what happens on these like these, to reassure yourself, to reinforce it inside of your head that it's best to be avoiding these days, rather than trying to approach it and trying to put risk on the table. When you as a person, better than to. I'm not going to be on charts for too long today. I saved my gym session. saved my gym session to be after 11 a.m. EST, so I can just tape read, get that out of the way, and then I can go to the gym without worrying about missing the setup. So as we reclaim this volume imbalance, you see now we're shooting through it again. So when price is not delivering as a efficient algorithm would, that's one of the biggest telltale signs that would tell you, it's not the time to be trading or putting on the table. But if we do continue to move lower, and if we do continue to see lower prices, I'd like to see the opening range gap once the reinforcement get breached, and maybe the opening range gap low. But from what I'm seeing, and don't take this as the end all be all, from what I see, I don't think it's going to be reaching to the opening range gap low, just because of what I'm seeing, especially on the hourly chart. If it does, then we'll be able to frame another narrative of that. But for right now, um, you can't. I mean, you can, but it'll be best to not take a final say on what price wants to do. It's very lethargic. I mean, it's what I expected from it. It's not going to be the best price action. And this is kind of crazy, but taking a break for almost 2 weeks, 2 weeks and some, it makes me feel like I've been off the charts for years. Like these 2 weeks that I was absent, um, price did lots of things, and I cannot be mad that I missed out on them, and I cannot try to make it up to myself that I missed those days or weeks by trying to take insufficient setups on days that I am actively trading, because that's immature and that's the thinking of a child. It's like they're trying to get revenge on something that is not conscious. It's like trying to take revenge on the charts. It's like, and then the only thing that I'm doing, if I would do something like that, is just basically hurt myself, hurt my thinking, hurt the way that I process the charts, hurt the way that I think about the charts, and the process. So if anyone's hearing this and they say, "Oh, that actually aligns with what I'm thinking," I might have missed a day or two off of the charts, and now I'm trying to get back onto the charts and trying to find revenge and something that is unconscious. Like the charts aren't there for you; they weren't created for you. You're simply an observer. You're not really doing anything when you're watching the charts. You're observing it. You're seeing how it moves. If it wants to provide you something that you would like to take, then it does. If it doesn't, then you can't blame anything or anyone. You have to accept it and you have to move on. That's something that I wrestled with for a while. I felt like the charts were out to get me. I felt like it was, when I would be off the charts, I would see a setup that I would really like. And when I was on the charts, I would take a setup that I don't like, and then I would lose. And then I would be like, oh my God, why does this always happen to me? The answer to that is that it's not happening to you. Have some humility. The world is not moving for you. It doesn't revolve around you. To be able to consider things in the grand scheme of things. So, just as well as the 2 weeks that I passed, right now I'm seeing that they did lots of things. If I was present for those 2 weeks, I could have maybe um, put on risk on the table that I thought was going to be turn out in my favor, and it wouldn't have, and I would have said I should have skipped out on those 2 weeks. It's crazy how this works. Something that I miss out on, I find the joys in it, and something that I partake in, I find the faults in it. So it's something to consider whenever you're getting the urge of pressing a button when you shouldn't. organizing my desktop. This is moving around. How are people in chat doing? How is life treating you guys? Hope everything is well. You can see price start to pick up a little bit off of the precipitation gap. I don't think I have the buy side liquidity on. You can see there's lots of kind of, if you were a retail trader and if you were looking at this price action here, you'd say, oh, I could have sold here, sold here, sold here, sold here. This to me is the resistance, and you can see price kind of creeping up on it by the 15-minute manipulation that we had into this move here. And you can see after price reclaimed that gap, it really found resistance off of trying to cut through it again. So you can see here, it closed at the low of it. But the next candle after that, what does price do? It rushes back higher and closes back above it again. This is what ICT refers to as a balanced gap, but I think that's him just trying to add some more concepts onto what's already existing, and this is just basically your clean gap. So after that, you can see price, it digs into it once, digs into it twice, 3 times, 5 times, 5 times, 6 times, and then all of those stabs have been rejecting off of the concept of encouragement. And we here at the 9:51 candle, we see this big wick drops into it, finds resistance after multiple stabs, and then explodes higher here. And as it's moving higher, it pushes through this rejection block that we were holding for a while. I mean, sorry, this one here. You see it was held here, held here, held here, and then we had this 9:52 candle after the 9:51 candle that pushed through it aggressively. And for now, if we go back on the 15-minute chart and see what we're reaching for, you can kind of put these highs here in play, which are also the buy side liquidity. I don't know why they're available on the 1 minute, but not available on the 5 and 15 minute. This is just annoying, but so as we reach up into these section of highs here, it's important to see what price does with and then if it wants to push through these, then you can kind of put these highs in play, and once these highs are what I'm hoping for, they push through, you can start to anticipate the buy side liquidity. So I want to really quickly just highlight where that high lies, and you can see clearly displacement through it. It's not finding a reason to reject from it. And another thing that I want to speak about really briefly, really quickly, is after we take this 5-minute high, there's something that IST refers to as real, support turn resistance or resistance turn support. And in this case, where that intermediate term high is taken, notice what this candle here does. Where does it specifically stop? Does it reach down lower into this devil's fair value gap, which doesn't have a wick here, or does it find true resistance off of previous support? This is what I think he's trying to refer to when he speaks about resistance turns support. So I want to label this really quickly as resistance turns support, then get turn high. So that wick moving into it and then rejecting higher, you can see here we have this candle here rejecting completely off of the tick of the 0.5 level off of the consequent push of the wick. And I think we can start to recognize this gap here as a breakaway gap. Price can move into it. It would just be best if for bullish price action, price leaves as a breakaway gap. Oh, I'm just seeing a message now, Nico. I don't know how long it's been. I'm doing good, thank you. Has been a rough week. Why do you say it's been a rough week? It's this is the second day into the week. Unless you had a really bad Monday, then tell me about your week. So before seeing any indicators like this gap here being inverse, that this resistance or support is actually going to be a turtle soup, before even considering any of those you know like elements, I think it's safe to say that this gap is going to be shifted through, or this intermediate term high is going to be shifted through, and instead of it being used as a turtle soup to move lower, it's pretty clearly been pushed through, and that is the sign that told me that is basically how we this wick here moves back into the resistance supports the basically intermediate term high, and then uses it as support to push higher. And remember the intermediate term high that I was talking about here, we can do the same thing on that high. So you can see on this one, we're seeing a little bit more kind of rejection of it. And I'm interested to see if price wants to return to the breakaway gap, because we all know that breakaway gaps are used as referral points for when price wants to shift order flow after leaving the breakaway gap in order to have a movement towards another point. So if price saw that the breakaway gap here was to be left as a referral point for price to move back higher into this high, reject off of this high, then use the referral point that it created here as a reference point to move back into it, then that would make lots of sense. And that would put the buy side liquidity that we have up here, that would be off the table. But um, we'll just have to wait and see. So far, we're rejecting off of it. But if price wants to reach into the breakaway gap, that will lead me more onto the side where this run on that high would be more likely to be a turtle soup than a market shift. Because you see how we did here. We left the breakaway gap. We didn't retrace back into it. If we kind of took that high and then we move back into it and then we start to trade kind of like sideways, then that would push me off of the side where we would want to be, bullish. But what we did here is you have to break breakaway gap as a referral point. We reach to the next PD array, which was the intermediate term high. We take it. Whether we reject off of it or not is entirely up to price. It doesn't affect us in any way possible. But what price is doing right now is, as it left the breakaway gap and it touched the intermediate term high here, it's kind of rejecting off. It's retracing. It inversed this volume balance here, and it's now kind of reclaiming it. If I want to see that intermediate term high getting pushed through as well, I don't want to see this order block or this down close candle here be used as an order block and be closed through and then used as support, and then that would lead us to the buy side liquidity. Expected higher prices and got stopped yesterday. Well, did you dissect the reason why you got stopped yesterday? Did you find the reason why why price did not do what you thought it was going to do? So there we go. Price closes through the bearish candle here. This places heavily through it, leaves the breakaway gap. This is telling us that price does not want to use a referral point after taking this high. It's telling me that price is pushing through this high as just an obstacle, and it's not a point in where price wants to use as basically to push prices lower from there. And there is the buy side liquidity. And I'm gonna go back onto the 15-minute time frame. What is this line about? I think that's the wick. But yeah, so I think I'm gonna end this stream now. It's a bit earlier than I said that I wanted to end it. I said I wanted to end it at 11, but if you go back to the beginning of the stream, this was the point that I wanted to see met, and as you can clearly see, it's been met. And obviously, it's a pre-FOMC, pre-CPI, so I did not participate in this move higher. But yeah, a quick conclusion, a quick kind of summary is that the manipulation is very clear. It does not manipulate as low as I would have wanted to see manipulate, but the drawn liquidity was um, it was it had points to be met for it to be confirmed. And when those points were met, like for example, taking this high here and shifting through it, and this high especially, because that was the only obstacle between it, um, we run to the buy side liquidity. And if we go on the 1 hour time frame, just a quick note, we can apply the same thing, or I think it's a 4 hour? Okay, yeah, the 4 hour. If we shift through this high, you can very well expect these highs here, and then eventually this high. If we do shift to this high. But yes, it's um, price did not move in the best way possible. It didn't move in the cleanest way, but it moved in a way where it wanted to reach a point, and it did so using whatever inefficient tools that it had available to itself. So I'm gonna be ending the stream right now. Um, I hope today that everyone learned something. I hope that my stream served some kind of purpose, and yeah, I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow. I'm gonna be streaming tomorrow because it's FOMC and it's also pre-CPI, so tomorrow also a day that I'm not gonna be trading. But yeah, I hope today was clear. Have a good day, everyone.